Hey, what's up everyone? My name's Faulty Shotgun. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. So what I have for you guys here is a GM3 build for my Interceptor. Now I will be leaving a link in the description below to a video so you guys can see what this build does in action for yourself. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, for my assault system, I will be using Serpent's Veil. Basically what this ability does is it coats an area in acid, basically debuffing all of the enemies inside of the area and allowing you and your group to deal more damage to the enemies. Now this did roll with quite a good amount of gear speed. I kind of wish it would have rolled with some javelin damage, but obviously I will take what I can get. So this is actually a really nice. It's going to reduce the cooldown of our Viper's Bite, which is our other strike system, and it does actually cool down Serpent's Veil, which doesn't have a long cooldown by itself anyway. But yeah, you can check out a bunch of these. It's really nice. Now, like I was saying, for the strike system, we're using Viper's Bite. Now, I got really lucky with this one. This one does have a really nice roll on it. I got 200% charges and 25% damage. Like I was saying, would have loved something like that 25% damage on the Serpent's Veil, but hey, take what you can get. So this ability, essentially what you want to do with this is kind of position yourself where you can hit a couple enemies at a time with this. You don't really want to just hit one enemy unless that's all you can do, say on like a boss or a turret or something like that. But this is going to allow you to get your ult back extremely quickly if you position yourself right. You can probably have an ult back every 30 seconds or so. And that's not including emergency power, which I'll get to in a second. And this does count as a primer, so you can combo off of this, and so can your teammates. So it is really nice. Now, for the components, like I was saying a second ago, we have emergency power. If you find yourself in a position where you can't hit enough enemies to get an ult back with Viper's Bite or something like that, or let's be honest, you're in GM3, you're going to get hit really hard. Emergency power is basically there to kick in a free ult, kind of like an oh shit button. Really, really nice. Hands down, recommend this on every build you want to take into GM3. If you don't want to die, run emergency power. And I did get 40% melee damage on this, which is really nice, but the 90% shield, big rip. You just don't stack shields on an Interceptor, you stack armor if you stack anything at all. But hey, I'll take the melee damage. For the next one, Symbiotic Surge, you could probably swap this out with something else if you wanted. You could run like a Wave Integration or a Bloodlust or something here. I don't have either of those with good rolls that I want. I do have a legendary Wave Integration, it's just not up to par with the 55% armor max I get on this and the 50% damage buff you do get for picking up a health pack, which are pretty much going to be all over the floor, so it's a pretty good chance you're going to have this up quite a lot of the time. So it's really nice. Now, Vengeance Matrix, this is a flat 50% damage across the board to anything and everything inside and outside of your ult. I know it doesn't say on the tooltip right now, but I believe it increases the amount of damage you take by 25%, which again, you're going to be in your ult 95% of the time, so you're not going to be taking the 25% damage that much of the time anyway. And when you do, boom, you have emergency power, kick back in another ult, and you're good to go. Now, I know you see the acid slugs, probably a weird choice, but I got a lot of melee damage on this roll, so there was definitely no way I wasn't going to equip this. It's basically like having a Bloodlust all the time, and I will say I have tried running Bloodlust on this build. Bloodlust doesn't proc inside of your ult, so you only benefit from the first initial 30% that Bloodlust gives you, you know, as far as like a melee damage increase. So I'm getting the full 100% of this all the time. Now, Way of Resolve, I've been farming and farming and farming. I cannot get a legendary version of this, quite honestly, to save my life. It's fine, it's whatever. I do have ultimate speed on this, so it's not the end of the world. but the dashing does increase the damage inside of your ult, which is really nice. So you can pretty much keep up that 40% buff the entire time you're in your ult. So there's really no reason not to run this, right? Now, for the last one, I am running Softened Blows, pretty much to give myself that little bit of a window, kind of where you're on GM3, you're going to get hit really hard and you need to back off, or you might not have time for an ult or something like that. Like, this is basically just to make yourself a little more tanky and kind of take some of the pressure off of you, where you can put yourself in a better position to essentially, like, pop an ult, right? So that's it for the components. And as you can see, I have pretty much damage everywhere I can get it, right? Moving on to my support system. I am running Target Beacon. Now, there's probably a couple different roles you could run on this if you really wanted. You could run some R1 speed here to reduce the cooldown of your Viper's Bite even more. I just end up running armor because I like having more armor so I don't get completely one-shot when I'm not in an ult. And I did get a pretty juicy roll on this Target Beacon, so it's kind of personal preference there, but that's just what I like to run, and it gives you the debuff, allowing you to deal more damage. So more damage is always nice. And last but not least, let's go ahead and get into the weapons. Now, both of these are going to be straight damage bonuses. I don't use them for anything else. I've got 28% damage, 17% damage, and 40% support speed. Pretty good rolls. It's basically going to boost all of my damage in and out of my ult and allow me to cast my Target Beacon basically a lot more quickly, along with the gear speed that I had on that Serpent's Veil. I'm not sure if those actually stack together, but I did get a fat roll on support speed here. Now, this Renewed Courage pretty much rolled the same thing as that Thunderbolt of Ivenia. 27% damage, 18% physical. That does scale with your ult, and I rolled with the 30% R1 speed, which again reduces the cooldown of your Viper's Bite. So basically what you have here is as much damage as you can get out everywhere you can, because you're going to be in and out of your ult 95% of the time, like I was saying. And I will link that video in the description so you guys can see just how much damage this build does dish out. The video from the description that I'll be linking is a little bit older. I didn't have quite all of these components and wasn't quite min-maxed yet, so this build right here actually does considerably more damage than what you will see in that video. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the build. If you have any questions, anything like that, if you feel like I missed anything, any comments, leave them down below, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as possible. So as for now, I'm Faulty Shotgun. Thanks for tuning in, and have a nice day.